Live from Schellenberger Field, you're watching men's college lacrosse action on LHSN as the Lynchburg Hornets play host to the Washington and Lee Generals, a battle of best on best. The Hornets sport the top scoring offense in the ODAC. WNL with the best goal against average, anchored by their defense. Thank you everybody for tuning in and spending some time with us on your Saturday night. TJ Wingert with you for all the action. We'll show you some of the stats coming into this contest. The Hornets, the number one scoring offense, 17.4 points per game. WNL just over 10 in that regard. And another stat to keep your eye on throughout tonight's broadcast, clear percentage, even at 81.7%. Whoever finds that edge tonight may well be the victor. A lot of talent to talk about on the field tonight. Let's start with WNL, and we'll highlight Tommy McCowett. Today will be his 10th start of the season, a senior from New Vernon, New Jersey. About 4 goals and an assist against Roanoke. All told, 13 scores, 3 assists on the season for McCowett. And on the other side, we'll talk about Kyle Lewis. Tied a program record with 8 assists in the win last Saturday against Virginia Wesleyan. That record tied with class of 1994 Kevin Collins for the Hornets. And for the keepers, one of the best, not only in the ODAC, but across the country. A senior replacing a former All-American honorable mention, Nick Spagnoletti, playing like an All-American in his own right. First in the ODAC in save percentage, saves per game. Second in goal against average. You name a stat, he's near the top of the ranks. And on the other side, Patrick Moore, 5th in the ODAC in goal against average. And sports a save percentage at just under 50%, having a solid season in his own right. And talking about two of the best coaches inside the Division III ranks, Gene McCabe. How about 9 winning seasons over the last 10 years, 11 winning seasons all told, and once upon a time, the USILA Division III Coach of the Year. That was back in 2003 at Hamilton. And a man that needs no introduction, more than 300 career wins for Coach Steve Kudelka, 311 if we want to be precise, and took down WNL last year for his 8th ODAC title during his tenure with the Hornets. The stage is set. It's going to be a fun one tonight between WNL and Lynchburg. We'll step aside and come back with the starting lineups and get underway between the Generals and the Hornets on LHSN.
When you come to the University of Lynchburg to earn a master's degree in athletic training, you'll spend time in the classroom, but you'll also spend a lot of time in our top-notch facilities, learning from athletic trainers and working closely with our student athletes. In the Graduate Cadaver Lab, you'll learn about the human body in the best way possible, by actually studying the human body. This will provide a foundation to make you a much better athletic trainer. In the Athletic Training Laboratory, you'll get hands-on experience, practicing your skills, applying concepts from the classroom, and working with faculty on research projects. It's also where our hydrotherapy facilities are. This space is also used by students for studying and practicing skills outside of class time. In the Sports Medicine Clinic and Turner Gymnasium, you'll work with student athletes from more than 20 NCAA Division III sports teams, helping get them back to practice and into the game as soon as possible. As an athletic training student, you're a big part of the success of our sports teams and the success of the local athletic teams. We see this relationship as a win-win situation. You learn, and that helps us win.
Welcome back to Lynchburg, Virginia, everybody. Getting set for a fun battle at the top of the ODAC between Lynchburg and Washington and Lee. Here are the starting lineups for tonight's contest, starting with the Generals. We talked about our player to watch, Tommy McCowett. Another player you have to talk about when talking about WNL is junior from South Carolina, Harris Hubbard. How about first-team All-ODAC last year, USILA All-American Honorable Mention, and second-team VASID All-Region player. He does a lot for the Generals on the defensive side, which is certainly one of the strengths they can play towards tonight and one of the big IDs of this team in and of itself. And for Lynchburg, we highlighted Kyle Lewis in the open, 29 assists on the year for Kyle Lewis, and plenty have gone to number 21, Ryan Kenny. Leads the way in the ODAC, averaging 4 goals a contest. All told, Kenny scored 36 times this season. Talked about it a little bit in the open. Lynchburg, a high-octane offense. WNL on the other side. Best mark in the conference in goal against average, 8.9. And they're also one of the best teams inside the ODAC Comes to facilitating on the offensive end. How about 15 assists per game for Washington and Lee? Players out onto the field. We are ready for the opening faceoff. It'll be Michael Krause at midfield for Lynchburg. And standing opposite him is Matt Gallagher, a junior from Lynchburg, Virginia. Went to EC Glass High School. So Gallagher and Krause will get us underway. 39th all-time meeting between the two squads. W&L with the edge. 20-18 all-time against the Hornets. Lynchburg's won the prior 2 meetings. But before that, W&L had won 3 in a row and 7 of the prior 8. Face-off, won by Lynchburg, and Krause picks up the ground ball. Krause been stellar all year on the face-offs. One of the best inside the ODAC. About 3rd in the conference in face-off percentage at 56%. And the Hornets had the chance to strike first. Nate Schaefer just checked in and gets the pass from Riley Mitchell. Schaefer made his season debut a home game back. Of course, that home game comes with a couple of road contests in between. That first appearance was against St. Mary's, a 20-9 win. Beg your pardon, that was actually against Tufts. Mitchell winds, fires, and buries it. Lynchburg jumps out in front, leads 1-0. Talk more about Schaefer later on in this contest, but it's Riley Mitchell opening today's scoring. 13th goal of the season for the junior, and Lynchburg wastes no time to find the back of the net. Here it is one more time. Mitchell steps into it and beats one of the best keepers inside the country from way downtown. Back to midfield, Gallagher versus Krause. Picking up the ground ball is Chris Darminio, his 44th ground ball in the year. And Lynchburg gets right back to work on the offensive end. Talking more about Schaefer to finish this point, it was 2 goals and his season debut against Tufts. Most recently for Lynchburg after the loss to the Jumbos was a win on the road last Saturday at Virginia Wesleyan, 28-4. Hornets top the Marlins. Those 28 goals ties a program record. So Lynchburg's offense certainly carrying some good momentum forward into tonight's contest against one of the best defenses in the ODAC. Recent schedule for W&L includes an 11-8 win last time out against Roanoke. Prior to that, it was 3 consecutive home games, a 10-6 loss against Gettysburg, 15-6 win at Randolph-Macon, and a 13-8 loss at the hands of Christopher Newport. Dylan Wolf finds some space, working to his left, and makes it 2-0. Hornets in front of the Generals. Welcome back to the field. Dylan Wolf hasn't played in the 2 games prior, but Wolf clearly feeling 100%, has his 9th goal on the year. Here it is one more time. Picked up by John Mills. And Mills had him sized up. Wolf breaks left. Had just enough separation to get a good look off. Gallagher wins the faceoff. Picked up the ground ball for a moment. Ball live. Jarred loose by Krause, accompanied by Josiah Martin. Picked back up. This time it's Darminio finding Kenny. Lynchburg right back in the attacking third. Kyle Lewis, our player to watch, patrols and brings it back. Has A.J. Neves, 8th game played this year for Neves, a grad student from Centerville, Virginia. 5 assists, 5 goals on the year for Neves. Griffin Cooling back to Ian McCartney. McCarthy gives to Neves. Now with Griffin Cooling, a freshman from Apex, North Carolina. Behind the net, Lewis. You'll see him work from behind the posts a lot tonight for Lynchburg. Coach Kudelka's described him as the quarterback. I think of it more as the point guard of the offense from that standpoint. He won't be the only player you see back there. That's why I'd lean towards point guard rather than quarterback. And case in point, errant pass intended for Cooling. Now it's with Jake Rust. Rust working against Mills, kicks the shot off, denied by Spagnoletti. A senior stepping in for Jack Taylor, who last season first team all-conference, USILA All-American Honorable Mention, and second team VASID All-Region. Certainly big shoes for Spagnoletti to fill. Now we get to see Washington Lee on the offensive end for the first time tonight. Taylor Witherall, senior from Wilmington, Delaware. Witherall waits, finds Tommy McCowett. 10th start of the year for McCowett, 11th game played. Leads the way for WNL with 13 goals this season. McCowett swings over to Henry Holiday, third team All-ODAC last year. Hillis Burns on the restart. 35 seconds left on the shot clock. Screen laid by Holiday. Cut. And the pass goes to the cutter, Michael Ott. Shot wide. Possession's going to stay with Washington and Lee. Holiday back to McCowett. Josiah Martin to defend. Now a second Hornet steps up. Forces McCowett to backtrack. In and out of the stick of Witherell. Lynchburg unable to pick up the ground ball. Generals have 10 seconds to work with. McCowett against Martin. Nowhere to go. Picked up by Darminio. Even numbers the other direction for Lynchburg. Darminio does have a goal this season. Takes his second shot of the year. Denied before it reaches the keeper. And picking it up is Harris Hubbard, the junior and first team All-ODAC player last year. Spagnoletti steps up. Flings towards the attacking third, trying to lead Adam Lamberti. And from Lamberti, it goes to Hillis Burns. And Burns puts Generals in the scoring column and makes it 2-1. 9th goal of the year for the freshman from Louisville, Kentucky. And the first on the night for Burns. Here it is one more time. Lamberti, clean feed. Burns waiting on it. Wastes no time to wind up. He gets the best of Patrick Moore, makes it 2-1, 10-12 to go in the first quarter. Krause versus Gallagher again. Sent all the way to the Lynchburg defensive third. Whistle's blown. Possession will be given to Lynchburg. Dylan Schuster was trying to track it down initially. Couldn't pick it up cleanly for the Hornets. Now the referees switch the verdict. Generals the chance to tie it up. Leif Smith, sophomore, gives to Lamberti. Now it's Brandon Roan, a senior from Dallas, Texas. Roan back to Lamberti. The assist for the junior from Bel Air, Maryland, his 4th of the year. Roan, defended by Alex Blanchard. Now it's Zingo. Trying to contain Hillis Burns. Behind the net, Hudson Picorni, junior from Connecticut. Wrapping it all the way around once again. Witherell. Picorni. WNL using up as much of the shot clock as they can get. Shot taken. Roan hits the stick of Moore. Now Lynchburg looking to successfully clear. Cole Nestor had it taken away. Taylor Witherell gets it back for WNL. Witherell has an assist in 4 consecutive. Here he applies the pressure and gets possession back for the Generals. McCowett backpedals, gives it to Holiday. Stop and start. Holiday gets past Cole Nestor and ties us up 2-2. Henry Holiday has his 13th goal of the season, a junior from Washington, D.C. Has the equalizer. Here it is one more time. Stepped up, took advantage of the opening against Nestor. And after a 2-0 run to open the scoring from Lynchburg, W&L has 2 goals in their own right. Whistles. The Generals now have a chance to take their first lead. So Lynchburg's won each of the last 2 meetings, including last season's ODAC title game, 16-6. It was the 8th conference title for Coach Kudelka and the Hornets in program history. All told, it was the 3rd meeting between the 2 sides last season. They met twice in the regular season. The first counted as a conference game. It was taken by the Generals. And the second, deemed a non-conference game in Lynchburg, came out the victors there. Then won the ODAC title game. All that to say, Lynchburg's won the last 2 meetings. Before that, W&L had won 3 in a row and had taken 7 of the last 8, spanning from 2016 to April of 2021. Holiday looking for his second, instead finds the top crossbar. Long ricochet out to the far sideline. Generals of Witherell give back to Holiday. Holiday defended by Martin. It's a man-to-man defense for Lynchburg after the screen. Martin picks up McCowick. Shot wide right. Witherell taking the most recent look. Burns trying to back down Zingo. Now W&L working around clockwise. Nowhere for Holiday to go against Peter Robinson. Ott for Burns. Another shot. Off frame from McCowett. 14 seconds and counting for Washington and Lee on the shot clock. Spin from Picorni. Pass wide of Burns. Then picked up McCowett. Unable to maintain possession. Picked up by Darminio, who completes the clear. Ryan Kenny, have not called his name a lot today. Had it jarred loose. Deuce Smoot applies the pressure. Defending Kenny on his back hip. Give and go between Schaefer and Mitchell. Less than 6 to play in the first quarter. Lewis in front of Michael Horgan, 3rd-team all-conference player last year for W&L. Schaefer in front of Mills. Schaefer gives to Wolf. He had the second of the 2 goals tonight for Lynchburg. Rust eyeing Mitchell. Now gives it to the junior. Mitchell working against Teddy Bentley. And Bentley not only creates the turnover, gets the pass off cleanly to Horgan. One more pass ahead. Clear complete. Witherell trying to find space and get away from Henry Marinden. Going back to talk about Teddy Bentley, 2nd-team all-conference player last year, but also someone who noted before the year that this is a W&L team with a lot of their returners coming on the defensive side. A very veteran bunch on that end of the field, but with a lot of new and exciting players on the offensive end. His words, I think that's been the story so far this year for W&L. Brandon Roan had a little bit of an opening, but as he winded up for the shot, cleared away from behind, or contact from behind, creates the turnover for Lynchburg. Lynchburg with 103 caused turnovers before today's game. And their son, Washington Lee, with 67. That's always an interesting note to look at. Over the course of a lacrosse game, how many of your turnovers were created by the defense and how many are just unforced errors on your own part? In a game like this, you expect to stay close the rest of the way through. Unforced errors are things that will give coaches plenty of gray hairs. Schaefer. I believe it was a pass intended for Rust. Goes out across the far sideline. Might have been deflected. Possession's going to stay with Lynchburg. Schaefer sets the screen. Pass goes to Kenny. Kenny against Harris Hubbard. That's the matchup to watch on this side of the field tonight. Mitchell for Wolf. Then sets the screen. Wolf breaking to his left. Against Hubbard, the shot hits the top bar. Goes out across the near sideline. A fresh 60 put on the clock for the Hornets. Chance to reset for Lynchburg. And Hubbard, one of those veteran returners on the defensive side for W&L. Talking more about what the Generals have been able to do defensively as W&L comes away with another stop. W&L and Lynchburg both tied for third best in the conference. Clear percentage at 81.7%. Noted that in the open as potential area of difference between the victor and the loser tonight. McCowett catches in stride, takes the shot, and W&L has their first lead of the evening. Tommy McCowett, our player to watch, has goal number 14 of his senior campaign. Generals lead 3-2. Here's the most recent score for Washington and Lee. McCowett catches it in stride and takes care of the rest. Beats Patrick Moore from distance. Krause versus Gallagher at midfield. Face-off won by Lynchburg. Ground ball gathered by Nestor. Hornets need an answer. Lynchburg had a 2-0 lead after 2.5 minutes of play. But since that goal from Wolf with 13:24 left on the clock, it's been a little more than 11 minutes scoreless for the Hornets. Looking to break that streak on this possession. Lewis, defended by Horgan. Backs it out to Cooling. Cooling has two defenders, including Mills. Screen set by Neves. Cooling still controls. Dish to McCarthy. McCarthy ties us up 3-3. Ian McCarthy with a seam and a finish. 7th score this year for the junior.
Goal scored by number 5, Ian McCarthy. Assist number 18, Griffin Cooling.
3 goals for each side, 3 different goal scorers for each team. McCarthy with the latest entry for the Hornets. First time Lynchburg has found the scoring column since that 13:24 mark, a much needed score for Lynchburg. Ties us up, 97 seconds and counting in the first quarter. Ground ball picked up by Boots Lackey, one of the best names you'll see across the ODAC, junior from Alexandria, Virginia. Holiday in front of Darminio. Passes right. It's Michael Ott with it. Ott had 3 goals a handful of games back against Hampton-Sydney. Has 10 on the year in total. Robinson against Holiday. Pass swung over. McCowett against Martin. Shot wide right. Moore was in position regardless for Lynchburg. Generals stay at it. Ott. Make that Holiday. For Burns. Burns against Zingo. Zingo pokes it loose. Washington Lee maintains possession. Behind the back shot. Point blank save from Moore. Nifty look created by McCowett, but Moore bests him. Gets the save. Lynchburg completes the clear. Martin not done yet. Gives way to Mitchell. Wolf trailing on the play. Pass was wide. Now it's Burns for the Generals, finding McCowett. 3 seconds to go in the first quarter. Shot comes courtesy of Adam Lamberty, and it misses wide right. And the final 0.3 of a second of the first quarter. Wind off the clock. We've made it through 15. This game has lived up to its billing so far. 3-3 through 15. W&L and Lynchburg. 45 minutes left to decide a winner. You're watching this contest on LHSN.
Today's a rough day. Jess and I are officially on a break. The couple canoe has broken up.
It's not.
How you feeling?
Living the dream.
Just canoeing. That's the Mexican side behind me. The U.S. is that way.
So far, we're all still alive.
I really want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Woo! We did it! Kind of.
Welcome back to Lynchburg, Virginia, getting set for the second quarter between Washington and Lee and Lynchburg. We're tied up 3-3 through the first quarter of play. Update you on some of the stats as it's Michael Kraus and Matt Gallagher getting set once again at midfield. 12 shots for W&L through the first quarter, 8 for Lynchburg, 6 of the 8 shots for the Hornets on frame, 5 of the 12 for the Generals. Sent towards Patrick Moore. 4 face-off wins for W&L, 3 for Lynchburg. 15 ground balls picked up by the Generals, 9 for the Hornets. And W&L 4 for 4 on clear attempts, Lynchburg 4 for 5. Kraus had it for a moment, lost it. Lackey couldn't keep it. Kraus tries a second time, whistles on the play. And possession given to Lynchburg. Cole Nestor gives way to Riley Mitchell. Nestor been a really impactful player this year for Lynchburg. He heads to the sideline, but the junior from Salisbury, Maryland, garners his 4th start of the year. Nate Schaefer brings it right, gives to Lewis. Lewis in front of Michael Horgan. Schaefer sets the screen. Lewis tries to return the favor. Pass. Was off the mark. Hornets will stay on the offensive third. John Mills defending, native to California. A wraparound shot. Lewis working to his right before he could take the shot. Sent it towards Spagnoletti. Contact with his stick. Turnover created by W&L, and Dylan Wolf gets it right back for Lynchburg. Wolf with the head of steam. Hits the brakes, spins to his right. Now gives to Schaefer. Schaefer fakes the pass to Mitchell. Still with it. Short hops the shot. Looks like it was wide right of the posts. Spagnoletti in good position to make the stand regardless. Mitchell, open tonight scoring, his 13th goal of the season. Lewis feeds Kenny, denied by Spagnoletti. And just in case you missed any of the first quarter, 3 scores for each team, 3 different goal scores for both sides. And for Lynchburg, none sent home by Ryan Kenny. Then 3 other players for Lynchburg to get the job done. To be precise, it's Riley Mitchell, Dylan Wolf, and Ian McCarthy for WNL. The scores have been Hillis Burns, Henry Holiday, and Tommy McCowett. Darmidio trying to generate the turnover against Witherell. Now back towards midfield. This is McCowett against Martin. Now a second defender steps up. It's Marshall Rodegast. Rodegast against Witherell. Forces the pass to Holiday. Picorni in front of Peter Robinson. Robinson pokes it loose. Picks up the ground ball. And is across midfield. Kenny versus Hubbard. Pass goes to Neves. And Lynchburg will slow down the tempo. Neves picked up by the long stick, Mitty Do Smoke. Neves takes the shot, leaves it wide right. Just under 11.5 to play in the first half. Lewis for Cooling. Back out to McCarthy. 5 defending 5. Mills against Ian McCarthy. Fake handoff for Neves. McCarthy still with it. Wraps it around behind the net. As a second defender comes. Pass goes to Lewis. Lewis finds Neves, and Lynchburg retakes the lead, 4-3. A.J. Neves. Talked about him early on in the broadcast, and the grad student has his 6th goal on the year. Really nice sequence, and it really starts with the hockey assist. Deservingly so. Given to McCarthy. McCarthy, as the second defender steps up, had Lewis. Lewis immediately dishes it off. Neves got the pass cleanly. Hornets back in front with just under 11 to go in the second quarter. It's been Krause and Gallagher all night at midfield. Face-off win for Washington and Lee. Spagnoletti has George Ravino, one of those veteran members in the back line, a senior. Couple passes, covers the length of the turf. Shot off the mark from Roan. Hornets got it stopped. Largest lead of the night for either side was Lynchburg at 2-0. Hornets can match that advantage. Get it to a 2-goal difference. Score in this possession. Nice pass ahead from Zingo, has Mitchell. Wolf gives back to Mitchell. And now it's Nate Schaefer. Senior we've talked about a lot tonight, hailing from Easton, Maryland. Mitchell, Schaefer, shot fake, now lets it fly. Sails it up over the top post. Mitchell, defended by Teddy Bentley. Shot. Again, sailed over the top post. This time coming from Jake Rust. 30 seconds on the shot clock. Couple of spins for Mitchell. Shot denied. Spagnoletti. A quick glance towards his net and a stick. Just making sure did come away with that save. Save number 5 of the night for the senior. Spagnoletti been stellar all season long. First in the ODAC and saves per game, save percentage, second in goal against average. I mentioned earlier replacing first team all-conference member. A lot of pressure on his shoulders, and he's been a huge part of why WNL has had such a good defense so far this season. Hornets give their defense credit. They come away with a stop. Martin's looking for help. Has it in the form of Neves with the pass. Touch too tall for Neves, and it goes out of play. Stoppage of play, timeout on the field, 8:51 to go in the first half. We will step aside and come back with the remaining just under 9 minutes to go in the first half of play. Lynchburg out in front of the Generals, 4-3 here on LHSN.
Living the dream.
USA, Mexico. That was so exciting.
Hornets lead the Generals by 1. 8:51 to go in the first half. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this Saturday night. TJ Wingert with you for a very fun battle between two of the best teams, not only in the ODAC, but across the national landscape in the men's lacrosse scene. Lynchburg, the number 8 team in the country. Washington Elite opened the season number 20 in the U.S. ILA preseason poll. And as it stands right now, despite a 5-5 record, receiving votes to get back into the top 25. So some bumps along the way, but 16th-year head coach Gene McCabe has garnered a lot of respect across the country. And despite her 500 record, General's still seen as one of the best squads in all the land. And it has been a daunting schedule, really, for both sides. You look at Lynchburg's 3 losses. They come against teams 2 through 4 in the U.S. ILA coaches poll. That's at Salisbury, home to Tufts, and a neutral site game against CNU out at the Mustangs Classic. Witherell lost it. Got it back. Has McCowett. Michael Ott returns it to Witherell. Steps up against Robinson. Pass just in front of the net. Ott couldn't handle the feed. And Patrick Moore with some assistance from Henry Marinden. Get it back for the Hornets, and Nestor gets it across midfield. We talked about a daunting schedule for Lynchburg, and a lot of the same could be said about WNL. Coming off an 11-8 win against Roanoke before that. Just like we talked about, Lynchburg having to take on CNU. Generals did as well before that. Wins on the road at Randolph-Macon. Before that game, a loss at Gettysburg. Then it was a 14-8 win at home against Hampton City, another team receiving votes to get in the top 25. Rust breaks right. Narrow margin for error, and Rust makes it 5-3. This ties the largest lead of the night for Lynchburg. 19th goal of the year for the sophomore from New Hampshire. Jake Rust makes it 5-3. Not a huge opening, but right before the second defender can fully get in the face of Rust, sophomore makes it a 2-goal difference. Gallagher and Kraus. Face-off win and a ground ball picked up by the Lynchburg face-off man. Errant pass. Marinden couldn't handle it. A chance for Washington Elite to get that score back, but promptly Steve Kudelka calls for a timeout.
Timeout, Lynchburg.
And we'll look to come up with a stop for the Hornets. When we come back, Lynchburg, 2-goal lead out in front of Washington Lee. 5-3, your score on LHSN.
If you like being close with your professors, if you like being in small classes that help with one-on-one, if you like being in positive communities that help you train your weak points and strengthen your strong points, then the University of Lynchburg is a great place to go. You can never go wrong with the amount of help that they offer, the amount of self-sacrifice that other people will put in for you. It has a beautiful campus, it has dedicated teachers, it has nice students, it has fun activities, and it has plenty of things to do.
We've seen 8 goals between the two teams tonight from 8 different goal scorers. Jake Rust with the latest entry into that bunch. Good for his 19th goal on the season. But just before the timeout was a face-off win for Lynchburg. But Michael Krause had the pass just go up and over the stick of Henry Marinden. The Generals now get to work on the offensive end, looking for the response to the Rust score. Witherell forced to backpedal. That's Josiah Martin in front of him. Just under 7 to go in the first half. Over the shoulder shot and finish, Brandon Roan. An exquisite first goal of his night in 8th of the season. Play that nice, you gotta see it twice. Here it is one more time. Nice feed from Ott. And over the shoulder from Roan beats Moore. 5-4 your score. And the trend continues. 9 goals tonight, 9 different goal scorers. And quick correction, instead that assist will go to Hillis Burns, his 4th of the season. He's got a goal and a dime on his evening now. Face-off win, the Generals can tie it up. Roan gives to Leif Smith. Behind the net on the restart, here's Burns. Working against Marinden. Burns flings it over to Lamberti. Feed comes in too hot, in and out of the stick of the junior. Lynchburg across midfield in a hurry. Kenny controls on the far side. Great crowd amassing on the other end of the Dr. Jack M. Tom's track. Flags on the play. And it's been primarily man-to-man tonight for Washington and Lee. Seen the same thing on the other side for the Lynchburg defense. Rust for Mitchell. Mitchell trying to get it to Lewis behind the net. Now we come to midfield. 30-second offside to go against the Generals. Lamberti, the guilty party. 5:12 to go in the first half.
This is at 4:42 on the release.
So 30-second man-up opportunity for Lynchburg. The Hornets 15 of 31 on these chances so far this year. That's 48.4%, which translates to second in the ODAC. Lynchburg looking to push the lead back up to 2. Lynchburg works it around the clock. Schaefer steps up. Denied by Spagnoletti. A massive stop for the 6th save of the evening for Spagnoletti. And if WNL gets it across, completes the clear, which they do. And as they do, I believe the 30 seconds had come off the clock. So Lynchburg 0 for 1 tonight. Man up opportunities. And another timeout called, this time by Coach McCabe. 4:23 to play in the first half. The Generals are going to draw it up, looking for a tie when we come back. You're watching Washington Elite and Lynchburg on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Just under 4.5 to play in the opening half of action between the Generals and Lynchburg. The Hornets looking to make it 3 consecutive wins against the Generals. Washington Elite looking to avenge a loss in last year's ODAC title game. And coming out of the timeout, WNL with a chance to tie it up. Timeout called by 16th-year head coach Gene McCabe. Once upon a time, USILA Coach of the Year. That was back in 2003 with Hamilton on his coaching staff. Taylor Mendoza, the team's defensive coordinator and director of recruiting, as well as James Doherty, team's offensive coordinator, previously an assistant head coach and offensive coordinator at Arcadia. Mendoza and Doherty, both in their first year. And of course, the big change on the coaching staff for Washington Elite was Eric Koch, class of 2005 for the Generals, but also previously the assistant head coach for Coach McCabe. Was hired this past offseason to be the head coach of the Denison Big Red. Shot from Holiday, save for Patrick Moore. And through the timeout, nothing to show for it for Washington and Lee. Martin has Kenny, and Kenny lays it off for Mitchell. Nice move for Lewis. Created some space, but sails the shot over the top post. Hornets working around the clock, counterclockwise. Still looking for our first repeat score on the night, I should say. 9 goals, 9 different goal scorers. Mitchell had the first of the evening. Give us to Wolf. Shot. Misses wide right. 23 seconds left for Lynchburg on the shot clock. Give and go between Wolf and Mitchell. Now Lewis. Screen set by Schaefer. Shot. Off frame. Hornets down to 3 seconds. Kenny will roll it towards left end line. Empty possession for Lynchburg. Big stand for the Generals. Hudson Picorni forced to backpedal. Gives to Lamberti. Pass, short hopped in front of Leif Smith. Big hit. Down onto the turf is Blanchard. Generals get it back. Looking to return the favor. Marinden was sizing up Roan. Shot. Deflected off a Hornet defender. Perhaps Rodegast, who gives chase after the ground ball, won't be able to get to it. Lamberti off the restart. 87 seconds to go in the first half. WNL passes it around clockwise. Now Lamberti working against Nestor. Clean sequence. Burns finds Picorni. And WNL ties it up 5-all. Picorni hits first of the night. And fourth on the season for the junior from Connecticut. Burns wastes no time finding Picorni, and Picorni, as soon as it hits the pocket, sends it past Moore and has the equalizer. 10 goals tonight, 10 different goal scorers. Been a total team effort on both ends. Kraus at midfield for Lynchburg, but this is not Matt Gallagher. Instead, Ned Meese, senior from Henrico, Virginia, went to Douglas Freeman High School, has the face-off win for the Generals. Teddy Bentley gives the head to Witherell. Now all the way back out to McCowett. That's Fenner Pollock. False start. Lynchburg with a chance to strike. 35 seconds and counting in the first half. Rust for Mitchell. Climbs the ladder. Able to gather the pass. Returns it to Rust. Stepping up. Shot. Sailed over the frame. It was Wolf letting it fly for Lynchburg. Mitchell in front of two defenders. Had Rust wide open in front of Spagnoletti, but it was poked away the last possible moment. Witherell for Picorni. Picorni buried it with 1.4 seconds to play in the first half. We have our first multi-goal score of the night. Hudson Picorni has his fifth on the season, and WNL back out in front 6-5. Picorni elevates, gets the shot up and over Moore. And it'll be Mees, Kraus at midfield. We've reached the conclusion of the first half. A late surge from Washington and Lee has the Generals out from the Hornets 6-5. We will step aside and come back with our first half stats, get you caught up on everything you might have missed the first 30 minutes of play. You're watching the Generals and the Hornets duke it out on LHSN.
I was looking for a school that could provide me with the athletics, academics to pursue my career, a wind symphony to pursue my passion for music, and really have a nice general atmosphere. The professors here are really unique, their background and their passion for teaching. It's really a place where you can explore. Lynchburg gives you the opportunity to fail, but also get back up in that period of time and learn from your mistakes. I can make these mistakes within the school environment, but also with the support of other friends, and be ready for the real world when you graduate.
Never think that your donation is in vain, because you're helping out hundreds of students that are just like me, who need a shot and who are getting one. Without donations, without you individuals that are helping to donate to the university and the Lynchburg Fund, there would be no student body president Davion Washington. There'd probably be I'm stuck at home, Davion Washington. Not only is your donation building leaders, but it's building leaders like myself and others that will hopefully want to pay it forward one day and you do the same thing. I know for a fact that, when I have it, because I will, I want to give back to this university that provided me a home for 4 years.
Lynchburg really stood out for me just because of the way it treated its students. They really do make an effort here. And I've learned that over my 4 years, is that they actually do try to listen to what the student body wants, and they try to act on that. They don't really just give you a piece of paper here to then go off and do your own thing. They actually prepare you to work with different populations, which is what the world is all about. It's just working with people that are different than you. They genuinely care that everyone has the ability to go off into the world and make a difference with whatever they like. For me, that's just being basically in a room with someone, helping them achieve their first goal of, doing a pull-up. I actually do believe they want you to do the best you can to change someone's life for the better. You can be anyone here, which I think is really cool. But regardless of who you are here, they will make sure you don't fall through the cracks, which is awesome. I have realized that I've never felt lost here. I will not regret ever coming here, that's for sure. So I'm very glad that I came here. Yeah, it's actually pretty awesome.
Halftime in Lynchburg, Virginia. Generals take the lead into the break 6-5 over the number 8 team in the country, the Lynchburg Hornets. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. TJ Wingard here with you. We're going to show you some of the stats from the first 30 minutes of play. And across the board, a lot of similarities. Shots and shots on goal, neck and neck, face-off wins. Slight lead there for Washington and Lee. And where I really want to talk about the first half, 7 turnovers for Lynchburg. Only 3 caused turnovers for Washington and Lee. So you're talking about 4 unforced errors and 4 possessions that come to an unnecessary halt for Lynchburg. And obviously in a close game like that, you look at those types of moments and how it might have changed the course of not only the first half but a game entirely. And for Lynchburg, 7 caused turnovers of the 9 turnovers so far for the Generals. So a lot more coming from the backs of the Lynchburg defense versus the other way around. Also want to talk about the clears. 10 for 10. That's a huge stat in the favor of Washington and Lee. When Lynchburg has had possessions come to a close, the Generals have not conceded second possessions. Lynchburg 9 of 12, solid in that department, but not quite at the 100% clip that we see the Generals at. And I want to update you on just the keepers' individual numbers. 6 saves so far for Nick Spagnoletti. On the other side, it's 4 saves for Patrick Moore. And we only have 1 repeat goal scorer. It's Hudson Picorni with 2 on the night. Tommy McCow with 1, as does Brandon Roan, Hillis Burns, and Henry Holiday for WNL. For Lynchburg, it's a goal for Riley Mitchell, Ian McCarthy, AJ Neves, Jake Rust, and Dylan Wolf to round out the scoring. We're going to step aside, and when we come back, we'll be moments away from the second half between Lynchburg and Washington Lee, coming to you on LHSN.
The biggest thing that I've taken from Westover is probably my interactions with faculty. I started working with Dr. Fryer. He's always available for help, and he makes sure that I get to do the experiments and not just be there while he does them. I didn't want to limit myself when I came here to just taking the prereqs for med school. I wanted to get a full, well-rounded education, and I definitely found that in the Westover program. It's given me the opportunity to keep playing soccer at a competitive level, but also it's given me the ability to be a student and to pursue other activities such as EMS. "100% do Westover because it's not something they're going to regret, and it's going to be a lot of work, but so is everything else. It's just going to help build their education that they've already had and make them a better person for it."
We're just about 2 minutes away from seeing the second half get underway between Washington and Lee and Lynchburg. It was a fun first half. The second half should be a lot more the same between the Generals and the Hornets. When we come back, we'll bring you the second half on LHSN. Second half, moments away. This is the difference. The last goal of the first half, the second of the night from Hudson Pokorny, and a game with just 1.4 seconds left in the first half. And it made it 6-5. The score we have coming into the third quarter of play. Michael Kraus opposite Ned Miz at midfield. We've seen a whole lot of Matt Gallagher as the face-off man tonight for the Generals, but Miz got some run at the very end of the first half, has the opening face-off chance in the second half. Lynchburg, after a long scrum for possession, has the ground ball picked up by Ryan Kenny, flings it back to Kraus. Now Kraus will head to the sideline after delivering the pass to Cole Nestor, and Lynchburg will look for the equalizer. Hornets, the number 8 team in the country, looking to make it back-to-back wins after taking down Virginia Wesleyan last Saturday 28-4. Meanwhile, Washington and Lee looking to do the same, coming off an 11-8 win against Roanoke and a win tonight for the Generals, making wins in 3 of the last 4. But now we're tied up 6-6. Lynchburg emulates what they did in the first half, scores less than a minute into the second half, and it's Jake Rust finishing on the play. Second of the night for Rust, 20th on the season for the sophomore. Take another look, and it's just Rust stepping up. Cross body shot on one leg. Highlight reel moment for Rust. His second on the night makes it 6-6. Kraus and Mies. The ground ball picked up by Darminio, and the Hornets can make a 2-0 run and would retake the lead if they can find the back of the net here. Going back to what Lynchburg did in the first half, in this goal to start the second half scoring. Really does mirror what we saw in the first half. After 46 seconds of play of tonight's contest, it was Riley Mitchell off the feed from Kyle Lewis opening the scoring. Now it's Mitchell giving it Nate Schaefer. Schaefer picked up by John Mills. Schaefer over to Dylan Wolf. Corralled the second goal tonight for Lynchburg, and that came just over 2.5 minutes through the first quarter. So with the Hornets striking first here in the third quarter, does that trend continue? Lynchburg came out swinging to start today's contest. Do they do the same here in the second half? Schaefer finds some space. Lets it fly from the right side, denied by Spagnoletti. Mills quickly across midfield. 4-on-3 for Washington and Lee. To Picorni. Shot wide right. WNL to maintain possession. Henry Holiday controls the near side. Gives way to Brandon Roan, who had one of the best finishes we saw in the first half. Over the shoulder look for his 8th goal of the season. Witherell sends it back to Holiday. 45 seconds and counting on the shot clock. It's Holiday versus Peter Robinson. Stepping up, Henry Marinden. Now it's Tommy McCowett, our Washington and Lee player to watch. Picked up his 14th score of the season. Has the 3rd goal tonight for the Generals. McCowett gets the pass off. Picorni spikes one in front of the post. Creative way of trying to get the shot off. Nothing to show for it. 18 seconds for the Generals. Out to Holiday. Hornets get a stop. And with just under 12 to play in the third quarter, get another chance to take the lead again. Talking about the Lynchburg defense. No defensive coordinator like WNL has with Taylor Mendoza, but with a former keeper as your head coach and Steve Kudelka, assisted by former U.S. ILA honorable mention as an All-American Seamus McDonald, a long stick mid when he played for the Hornets. Two players with a strong background on the defensive side. Head up, Lynchburg on that end of the field, while Colin McGuire, Evan Lombardo head up what the offense brings to the table. Shot from Neves, denied by Spagnoletti. Save number 8, the Generals keeper. Spagnoletti averaging 19 saves per game over the last 4 for WNL. Turnover for the Generals. Lynchburg looks to press the advantage. Nestor over to Lewis. Hornets halt in their pace. McCarthy just checked in. Gives back to Neves. Neves trying to find Rust. Wasn't a clean feed. Another turnover for Lynchburg. Hornets had 7 turnovers in the first half. Only 3 go down as caused turnovers by Washington and Lee. And that possession, another example of an unforced error for the Hornets. We're obviously tied right now. Expect to stay close the rest of the way. Those types of moments are ones easy to look back through and say, well, what could have been had this played out differently? Lynchburg looking to limit how many of those they have throughout the rest of the second half. Pass over to Burns. Burns in front of Zingo. Now Holiday. To the near sideline. Now back behind the net. Picorni leads the way for the Generals tonight with 2 goals. Picorni just barely able to get the pass off to Witherell. He airmails the pass, trying to find Lamberti. W&L gets it back. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Roan will have to work quick. Takes the shot way downtown and skips it past Patrick Moore. Generals back in front. 9:11 to go in the third quarter. Second of the night for Brandon Roan, 9th on the season for the Dallas, Texas native. Had to beat the shot clock, played the angles well enough, snuck it past Patrick Moore. W&L leads 7-6. Back and forth, these two teams have gone all night long. And to that point, the largest lead for either side is a 2-goal difference. Lynchburg led 2-0 and then 5-3. Generals right back to work. Picorni, errant pass. That's a killer for W&L. Pass goes over the head of Michael Ott. Sometimes it pays to be lucky rather than good, and that's the case here for Lynchburg. Wolf completes the clear. Hornets obviously looking to tie it up. Meanwhile, W&L, and in specific, defensive coordinator Taylor Mendoza looking to ride the momentum on the Generals side. As the sun is set over Schellenberger Field, and it has become a cool early April evening in the Hill City. Mitchell keeps the possession alive for the Hornets. Wolf looking for space, doesn't have any. W&L gets the stop they were looking for. Ground ball gathered by Bentley, who flings it back to Holiday. Evades the pressure from Riley Mitchell. Ott against Zingo. Roan got past Martin. Help defender comes in the form of Henry Marinden. Holiday takes the shot, finds a Lynchburg defender before he finds Patrick Moore. Ott, a sophomore from Savannah, Georgia, gives to Holiday. Holiday with Arell. He's looking to get it back to Ott. Looks like Ott was starting to wind up and was ready to take the shot before he had fully received the pass. Empty possession for the Generals. Another stop for Lynchburg. Battle between top two teams in the ODAC preseason poll. The Hornets picked to win the conference. And Lynchburg looking to repeat as the ODAC champs. Meanwhile, W&L second in the preseason poll. Fell to the Hornets last year's ODAC title game, looking for redemption this evening, and perhaps even later on this season. Jack Spears, first time seeing Spears out there tonight. Neves gives to McCarthy. McCarthy lost control. Neves had it for a moment, couldn't keep it. Instead, Deuce Smote picks up the ground ball for W&L. Pass to midfield, Andrew Marsh hits it across for the Generals. And W&L successful in all but one clear attempt tonight. They were perfect at halftime. Remain close to it, 13 of 14 to where we are now. Peter Shaheen, the second. First time calling out Shaheen tonight. Pass from Burns. Now it's Picorni. Behind the net. Pass to the sideline, Leif Smith. Back to Shaheen, the third. Sophomore from Towson, Maryland. Smith. Marked up by Nestor. Back to Shaheen. Shot. Sailed over the top post. 13 seconds to go on the shot clock. Generals will have to work quick. Pass fake. This is Picorni taking the screen from Lamberti. Now the give to Lamberti, and the junior makes it 8-6. Generals have their largest lead of the night at 2. Take another look. Adam Lamberti, his first goal of the night. He has an assist to go with it. We see the Generals do a whole lot of damage. Operating from behind the net, finding cutters in the face of Patrick Moore. And another example on display there as the Generals now lead 8-6 over the Hornets. Looking to pull off the upset against the number 8 team in the country. Kraus opposite of Mies. And just before it got to the Lynchburg defensive third, Darminio picks up the ground ball. Nine face-off wins for Washington, at least 6 for the Hornets. Pass nearly off the mark, but Mitchell able to keep it for Lynchburg. Wolf has a goal tonight. Missed the prior 2 games against Tufts and Virginia Wesleyan. A welcome sight to see him back on the turf for Lynchburg. Mitchell spins right. Now looks to facilitate. Defended by Bentley. Lewis gives back to Mitchell. Now over to Kenny. Kenny has his first score on the night. Not something I envision having to wait till 4:01 left in the third quarter to say, but Ryan Kenny averages 4 goals a contest. First in the ODAC. And the senior has goal number 37 of the season. Shot clock was winding down. Haven't seen a whole lot from Kenny this evening. Mitchell knew it was about time. Deficit cut in half, 8-7. W&L maintains the lead. Huge face-off. Matt Gallagher back onto the turf for the Generals, but a face-off win for Kraus. That's been Kraus all night long for Lynchburg. The tandem of Gallagher as well as Mies for the Generals. Mitchell controls again. Lewis takes the screen for Mitchell. Brings it all the way back to the top of the formation and gives to Wolf. Wolf finds Kenny, looking for his second. Instead, hits the right post. 60 put on the shot clock, and Lynchburg right back to work. Mitchell wastes no time, takes the shot against Spagnoletti, and denied by the senior. Harris Hubbard there to pick up the ground ball. Mills spins and completes the clear. Less than 3 to play in the third quarter. McCowett gets it away to Witherell. Witherell now picked up by Peter Robinson. Pass left. Roan with Rodergast in front of him. Flings it back out to Holiday. Less than 30 on the shot clock. Martin defends. Ott gets it away. Burns for Holiday. Now the near side. McCowett leaves it wide left. 5 seconds to work with for W&L. Shot denied by Moore. But the Generals continue to knock on the door, looking to get the lead back up to 2. Burns lays off for Holiday. Henry Holiday, third team All-ODAC last year. Seen him control, do a lot offensively this evening for the Generals. Low angle shot, another save from Orr. Goes down as the sixth save of the evening. The Birmingham, Alabama native. .60 seconds to play in the third quarter. Mitchell able to traverse through two defenders. Likes to keep it out. Gives way to Dylan Wolf. Lewis back out for Mitchell. Nate Schaefer couldn't collect the pass. Mitchell left it a step behind him. Nothing to show for in a potential last possession for Lynchburg. Instead, it's the Generals with the chance to steal a score before we close the third quarter. Looking long, trying to get it to Michael Lott. WNL returns the favor and puts it right back into the hands of the Hornets. Mitchell for Lewis. No numbers advantage for Lynchburg. Lewis back to Mitchell. Over to Wolf. Started to wind up and had it fall out of the pocket. Same happens to Mills as he crosses midfield. Shuffled over to Roan. Roan can't pick it up. And anticlimactic close to the third quarter keeps it at an 8-7 score. Generals lead the Hornets. Will step aside and come back with the final stanza between Washington and Lee and Lynchburg coming to you on LHSN.
My favorite thing about public relations, just building relationships with people and the public from an organization perspective to make sure that you're really understanding each other. You can do a lot with communications, like the people I've talked to. It's a lot of applications, whether or not you're going into nonprofit or like the public sector or private sector. It's just communication is everywhere and it's always important. I really like the teaching here at the University of Lynchburg because I've had a lot of classes that have like practical applications. So for example, the writing that I've done in my strategic PR class has allowed me to apply to internships with those stuff that I've written about. I applied and got the internship at the Office of Equity and Inclusion for their newsletter that comes out every month.
Get small classes, nationally recognized mentoring and advising, and a community that has your back every step of the way at the University of Lynchburg.
A great crowd on hand for a great game to watch. WNL leads Lynchburg 8-7. We appreciate everybody checking out this game on your Saturday evening. Ned Mees, Michael Kraus at midfield. Face off for a moment won by Lynchburg. Laying the boom, Darminio keeps the loose ball alive before it's ultimately gathered by Mees. Largely the night for both sides at a 2-goal mark. For Lynchburg, it was a 2-0 lead, then 5-3 midway through the second. WNL pushed out to a 2-goal lead at an 8-6 mark before Lynchburg, and in specific, Ryan Kenny netted his first goal on the night to make it 8-7 with 4:01 to play in the third. We were scoreless the rest of the way to bring us to the final stanza. Pass to McCowett. Behind the net with Urell for Burns. Eyeing Picorni. Pass off the mark. Backing up to play. McCowett keeps possession with the Generals. Feels the pressure from Marinden. 30 seconds to go on the shot clock. Roan He's also found the back of the net tonight. Did so over the shoulder. A couple of passes later, it's Picorni. Defended by Robinson. Stepping into it. The feed goes to Burns, and Burns makes it 9-7. Hillis Burns, 10th goal of the season, second on the night. The first was the opening goal of the contest for W&L. Here it is one more time. Nice opening for Hillis Burns, who also has an assist tonight. And the freshman makes it a 2-goal difference. The Generals looking to take down Lynchburg here at Schellenberger Field for the first time since April 21st of 2018. Another face-off win for W&L. Mies into the attacking third. Over to Burns. Give Burns the hat trick. Hit off the post. Moore and the Hornets looking to say it didn't hit the back of the net. They'll confirm the call. A 2-0 run to start the fourth quarter. W&L, largest lead of the night at 3. Mies finds Burns and once again found the opening against the Lynchburg defense, and it was certainly close. As you see, Coach Kadelka around midfield, frustrated with a very close call on the other side of the turf. Mies and Kraus at midfield. Lynchburg has had a knack for completing comebacks. In specific, a big fourth quarter at the Mustangs Classic against number 18 Denison, who head coach Eric Koch, former assistant head coach for the Generals. Point blank shot, Picorni denied by Moore. Martin completes the clear for the Lynchburg Hornets. Talking back about that game against Denison, 13-12 final score. Lynchburg had a huge start to the fourth quarter before fielding some late pressure put on by the Big Red. It was 2 late goals from Denison to bring that game to its final 13-12 verdict. But Lynchburg looking for something similar this evening. It'll take a lot of offense late, some timely stops to go with it. Trailing by 3, Mitchell over to Schaefer. Schaefer defended by John Mills. Back to Mitchell. Mitchell sneaks it past Spagnoletti. Second score of the night for Riley Mitchell, his 14th on the season. And Mitchell from distance sized up Spagnoletti, saw the opening, lower right 90, and makes it 10-8. A quick response, exactly what Lynchburg was looking for. Mies and Kraus again at midfield. Ball still loose. Off the sticks of players from both sides. Ultimately, it's Nestor gathering for Lynchburg. Passing ahead for Kenny. And a chance for Lynchburg to do something similar that Washington and Lee did through the middle parts of the first quarter. It was a 2-0 start to the game for Lynchburg. Getting out in front early, and the Generals answer with 2 of their own around the 10 and 8 minute mark respectively. Mitchell has his second of the fourth quarter. It was 2 from Burns, answered by 2 from Riley Mitchell, and we're right back to a 1-goal difference. You just heard the numbers. They're still fresh in your head, but just in case you forgot, Mitchell, this is his third on the night, 15th on the season, and goes low right 90 against the keeper Spagnoletti on consecutive possessions, a potential adjustment seen by the junior. Face-off, won by Lynchburg. Darminio picks up the ground ball. The Hornets riding a ton of momentum on their side. Martin sails the shot. And they will give possession to the Generals. And W&L, an answer here would do wonders. Looking to slow down a tidal wave, carrying Lynchburg right back into it, a 1-goal difference. 2 goals for each side here in the final quarter of action. Lamberti, pass to the near side. Leif Smith in front of Josiah Martin. Smith dishes behind the net. Pass fake with Harrell. Leaves the shot in front of Patrick Moore and on a hop. The junior keeper corrals yet another save. Mitchell ahead for Robinson. Lynchburg gets it across midfield. Another chance for the Hornets to tie us up. Ian McCarthy. Give and go between he and Mitchell. Mitchell, one of just 2 players tonight for Lynchburg with more than just 1 score. Rust has 2, Mitchell with 3. Mitchell finds Rust. Rust has his shot blocked. A scrum for the loose ball. Washington Elite comes away with possession. Pass towards the near side. Michael Horgan. A long stick mid. Sends it back to Spagnoletti. Roan. Couple of passes later, it's Burns. Traveling to the near sideline. McCowett for Holiday. Back to Witherell. Passes work counterclockwise. Now it's Holiday in front of Nestor on the far side. Has McCowett flanking to his right. Instead, the pass over the head of Hudson Pokorny behind the net. Unforced errors. How many times have you heard me mention it this evening? Largely talking about Lynchburg and some of the troubles they had in the first half and even carrying into the second half. But here, it's W&L. A very untimely, unforced error. Lynchburg knocking on the door, potentially tying us up 10-all. Neves working against Mills. Over to Spears. Seeing a lot more of Jack Spears here in the second half. Spins left, gives to Rust. Rust had it fall out of the stick. Kenny had it for a moment. Rust did as well. Lots of contact. Rust comes away with possession and timeout called by Steve Kadelka. How about an absolute display of ball control from Jake Rust? True wizardry displayed by the sophomore, and a timeout called by Coach Kadelka will send us to a break. We'll step aside and come back with more of a great battle between W&L and Lynchburg on LHSN.
My name is Joshua Carr. I am a senior. I am a theater major as well as a history minor. I live in 5th Street, the historic black neighborhood. The money came in, transfer, scholarship, all that. I appreciate that greatly. I'm smart too. So they gave it like, you smart, here, here, here. You know what I'm saying? You come here to do a job. I came here to do a job. A student's job is to get that degree and make something of ourselves. I love the diversity here. I love the different interests of people here. I can teach somebody that doesn't know what I know, and that person can teach me something that I don't know that they know. So that's what I love about my school. They respect that and they allow us to showcase and voice our expressions. That's what you get here. You get diversity, you get different people with different knowledge coming together, sharing information and helping each other out. That's what I love. That's why I say people. I love the people here.
8 minutes and 24 seconds, all that stand between the rest of this contest and The victor coming out from this contest. Mitchell looking to tie us up. Denied. Schaefer looking to keep the possession alive for the Hornets. Ball still loose. They'll give possession to the Generals, the Lynchburg sideline. Seemingly collectively put their hands in the air in disbelief. The Generals get the chance to get back to work on the offensive end. It's Holiday bringing it across midfield. Huge stand for the Generals as Jake Rust traversed through a trio of General defenders trying to jar ball out of his stick. Rust was able to maintain possession, and the timeout called by Coach Kudelka felt like momentum heavily on the side of Lynchburg. Coming to that timeout felt like a chance for the Hornets to really take advantage of that. Sabino comes away with a quick stop with Arell looking for space. Ott to the far side. Backed out by Burns. Holiday against Josiah Martin. McCowett, just one score tonight, sails this shot out of play. 7:13 left until the conclusion. 30 seconds and counting on the shot clock for W&L. Picorni lost it. Darminio sent to the turf. Marinden gets it back and feels the heat from three separate General defenders. Seemingly gets the pass off to Darminio just before going out of play. And Lynchburg with even more momentum on their side. Since we last saw him on the offensive half, it's Schaefer sending it to McCarthy. Now with Mitchell. McCarthy, defended by Andrew Marsh, gives to Lewis. Mitchell at the top of the formation, over to Schaefer. Schaefer gives to Kenny. Kenny leaves the pass a little low for Rust. Another tough empty possession for Lynchburg after phenomenal play in the defensive half from Henry Marinden and Chris Darminio, and Darminio just got that pass off in front of the General sideline. And then it was Darminio bringing it across midfield. Felt like any moment Lynchburg was going to find that equalizer. All for naught. Generals. Much as we sung the praises of Lynchburg defensively on that possession, the Generals are able to match it. Roan. Lamberti for Picorni. Now back to Lamberti. Roan for Smith. Smith spins right. Finds Taylor Witherell. Witherell steps up. Gets it to Burns. 3 scores tonight for Burns. Shot clock down to 20. Roan lost it. Picked back up by Lamberti. Lamberti with it again. Takes the shot and gets it over the right shoulder of Patrick Moore, who's in total disbelief he didn't come away with a save. Clock stopped. 4:42 to play. Generals push the lead back to 2. Lamberti looked like he wanted to facilitate before deciding, hey, I'll do it myself. Another goal of the night for Adam Lamberti. His second of this game, 8th of the season. That on top of a handful of empty possessions for Lynchburg, despite a ton of momentum seemingly being on the Hornets' side. Puts W&L in a great position to come away with the upset win. Lynchburg looking to have something to say about that. Schaefer controls just in front of midfield. Picked up by Bentley. Schaefer has 3 general defenders collapse. Ground ball picked up by Rovino, who gets it away to Spagnoletti. Another massive stop for the Generals. And coming into this contest, we talked about the strengths of these two teams. Lynchburg, first in the ODAC, 17.4 points per game. On the other side, WNL, 8.9 goal against average. That's 4th in the ODAC. It was a true case of strength on strength tonight. And as impressive as Lynchburg has been defensively, WNL has been even better on that side of the field, which is almost hard to imagine. Shot was off frame from Kenny. Rust on the restart. Gives to Neves. 3.5 minutes to go. Lynchburg looking to cut the deficit in half. Where we are in this contest, there's not much more room for error for Lynchburg. Neves gives back to McCarthy. McCarthy has his second goal tonight. The junior from Centerville, Virginia, nets number 8 on the season. And like we talked about, Lynchburg needed a score here, and they got it from Ian McCarthy. McCarthy, the 3rd player for the Hornets, to find his 2nd or better score. It's 2 from Rustin McCarthy, 3 for Mitchell to lead the way. A very important face-off at midfield. Kraus against Mies. Lynchburg wins it. Darminio picks up the ground ball. And too many times tonight, we've said Lynchburg has momentum in the attacking third. And then the conclusion of the sentence has been, but nothing to come after. Or an empty possession. Nothing to show for it. A variety of ways for me to say Lynchburg didn't fully take advantage. This is a possession that feels like the Hornets have got to have goal number 11 on the night and tie us up. McCarthy for Mitchell. In front of him is Alex Kelly. Mitchell lost his stick and possession of the ball. Picked up by Kelly. But Kelly stepped on the sideline. The fans in attendance on the other end of the track applaud and approval. Lynchburg right back to work. Neves for McCarthy. Give goes to Rust. Rust through 3 defenders, skips the shot off the post. How Jake Rust did not lose possession prior to taking that shot is a miracle in and of itself. To get the shot off further laments what he's done as a playmaker, not only tonight, but all season long for Lynchburg. One of the best facilitators and playmakers in all the land. Timeout called by Coach Kadelka. 99 seconds left at a side of Victor. What a game between Washington and Lee and Lynchburg. When we step aside and when we come back, we will bring you the conclusion between the Generals and the Hornets on LHSN.
Today's a rough day. Jess and I are officially on a break. The couple canoe has broken up.
How you feeling?
Living the dream.
Just canoeing. That's the Mexican side behind me. The U.S. is that way.
So far, we're all still alive.
I really want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Woo! We did it! Kind of.
11-10 your score. Washington and Lee out in front of the number 8 Lynchburg Hornets with 99 seconds left to play. Thank you everybody for tuning in. This game has not disappointed yet, and I would be floored to see that change over the next minute and 39 seconds. There's a timeout called by Coach Kudelka that sent us to the break. Lynchburg, the door ajar to tie us up. The Hornets have been stellar when playing at home all season long. About 3-1 when playing on Schellenberger Field, and that comes after a 13-0 home record last season. Neves. Pass ahead for Kenny. Lost control. Picked up by John Mills. More time on the shot clock than the game clock. If the Generals execute, they can leave Lynchburg with a win. Pass was deflected by Kenny. Stays with the Generals. Washington and Lee into the attacking third. And whistles signal a timeout called by Coach Gene McCabe. Chance to draw up what he wants to see over the next 61 seconds. Again, we will step aside and come back with the finale between the Generals and the Hornets coming to you on LHSN.
Living the dream.
USA, Mexico. That was so exciting.
One minute and 1 second left on the game clock. Generals have possession coming to the timeout called by Coach McCabe, and a chance for Washington and Lee to put this game on ice and leave Lynchburg with their first win on Schellenberger Field since April of 2018. Controlling is Brandon Roan. Roan sends it parallel to the net. Hillis Burns controls the pass. Empty net as Patrick Moore applies pressure against Burns. Can't jar it loose. Burns was eyeing Roan. Instead, the Generals continue. Try to kill off the clock with Thorell. Initially defended by Rodegast. Now picked up by Nestor. Wide open. Roan will squat, occupy some space. Less than 10 seconds to play. Whistles. Stop the clock with 3.7 to go. And another timeout called by Washington and Lee. And this likely signals this game reaching its conclusion. Still a little less than 4 seconds to be played. You never want to call or rule anything out, but the Generals, over the course of the past 56, 57 seconds, executed this late game situation near perfectly. Even had a couple of chances to put a shot on frame and potentially make it a 12-10 game with Patrick Moore out of the net, but the focus on killing the rest of the clock. The Generals executed wonderfully. Lynchburg back on the turf after timeout called by Coach McCabe. If the score does stand, the Generals will elevate to 6-5 on the season and 4-0 in conference play. And as a team receiving votes to get in the top 25, a win against the number 8 team in the country will go a long way to padding their resume. Meanwhile, if Lynchburg does fall short, Hornets would be 6-4 on the year and would suffer their first loss in conference play and become 2-1. And the final buzzer is sounded. W&L comes into Lynchburg and leaves victorious. 11-10. Generals upset the Hornets. And as we talked about, Washington and Lee now 6-5 in the year, and they stay perfect in ODAC play at 4-0, and it becomes the 21st win all time, W&L over Lynchburg. And the Hornets are now 6-4 on the season, 2-1 in conference play. Just the second loss at home for the last year plus for Lynchburg. And the number 8 Hornets suffer a tough loss at the hands of the Generals. Battle between the top 2 teams in the ODAC preseason poll did not disappoint, and all I can say is I hope we see these 2 teams duke it out one more time in the ODAC title game after what I just saw. An awesome 60 minutes between the Hornets and the Generals brings us to the 11-10 Washington and Lee win over Lynchburg. Give you some stats before we send you home. Nick Spagnoletti, 10 saves against 39 shots faced. Patrick Moore, 8 saves against 36 shots for Lynchburg. Leading scorer for W&L and called them the LHSN player of the game. Hillis Burns, a couple coming in the fourth quarter, and it was a huge start to the fourth that really feels like an impactful difference in this contest for the Generals. Then it was 2 scores for Adam Lamberti, 2 for Brandon Roan and Hudson Picorni. 1 more coming from Tommy McCowett and Henry Holiday. On the other side for Lynchburg, leading the way was Riley Mitchell with 3 scores. Ian McCarthy and Jake Rust each had 2. Then it was a goal scored by A.J. Neves, Ryan Kenny, and Dylan Wolf to round out the Hornets scoring. That'll do it for us at Schellenberger Field. I'd like to give a shout out to my director, Sam Rice, and the rest of our fantastic LHSN broadcast crew. My name's TJ Wingert, and until next time, we are signing off.